Every kid has a great story to tell. Have one? Well, we're listening. Send your best story to the New Indian Express's Bookworm Junior Summer Stories Contest and you could just end up becoming an author over the summer. What are you waiting for? Get writing.
Hindustan Institute of Technology and Science. Take your first step toward a future in excellence.
Hi there and welcome. This is the New Indian Express's Let's Debate. We're back with another episode. We're super excited to have you join us for this episode of the New Indian Express's Let's Debate. And we know that with a full house like this, there's going to be a whole lot of sparks and energy flying around. Let me just quickly tell you the motion that we're going to be arguing today. That is one that is very contentious. It's something that's being argued by people who are very, very senior and very, very political. Learning in one's mother tongue instead of English till grade 5 will preserve our languages and culture. That's right. Mother tongue education as a mandatory thing instead of English till grade 5. That's what our young debaters are going to be arguing about, and we hope that we're going to have a great debate because that, I think, is the spirit of democracy, and that, I think, is the spirit that all of us carry. I'm very happy to welcome Professor Jibbu Matthew George, who teaches at FLU. He's in the School of Literary Studies. He's got so many degrees that it makes me swoon. He holds MA degrees in English Literature, Philosophy, and Religion. He has a degree in political science. He has an MSc in applied psychology, a PhD on James Joyce, an advanced diploma in German, and a junior diploma in French. And I'm officially out of breath. Thank you so much for being with us, Professor. It's a great pleasure. I'd also like to welcome from within the New Indian Express family, my friend and colleague, Jonathan. Jonathan Samuel Ananda, of course, is one of our business correspondents. He's a principal correspondent. He's been in Delhi for a great many years. He's just joined me back in Chennai. He's reported on a great many things over the course of almost a decade in journalism, and I'm super happy that he's here. He also was very good with literary debating in college. I know this because he's my junior by many years, and I'm very glad to have him with us. Thank you, John, for joining us.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, you know what the topic is. You know which side of the motion you fall on. Before we jump into the debate, I'd like to thank our partners in this debate, Hindustan Institute of Technology and Sciences, and MEIL, who've helped us make this happen. Let me reiterate the topic for the day. Learning in one's mother tongue instead of English till grade 5 will preserve our languages and culture. That's what we're going to argue. Without further ado, let's debate. Let me now invite to speak for the motion our first speaker of the day, Navami S. Nair. Navami, are you good to go?
Good evening to one and all present here today. Myself, Navami S. Nair from Bhavin Vidya Mandir, Elamakara, Ernakulam, Kerala. I am currently studying in the 9th grade. It's a common belief that as we move towards a society in which the medium of teaching is English, we tend to move away from our mother tongue. The first language that a child learns right from his or her birth is termed as the birth language. And thus, it plays a crucial role in our lives for a wide array of reasons. Let's look at these 5 reasons and understand why it's important to know your mother tongue. The first reason is intellectual development. Studies have proven that both intellectual as well as cognitive development is comparatively faster in those who are fluent in their mother tongue. It has also been noted that if a child or a student is taught in his or her mother tongue, the rate of his or her educational success is higher than someone who is taught in a different medium other than their mother tongue. The second reason is better connection with your culture. Languages are the most important way of keeping our culture alive. often the direct translation of one language to another does not carry the same essence as is in the source language. Thus, the best way to thoroughly know about a language, know about the culture. Mother tongue helps us to stay connected to our roots and our culture. The third reason is commercial benefits. Now, after businesses go the local way, the importance of mother tongue has exponentially increased. Thus, in such a scenario, having a firm understanding where you know how to read and write is immensely helpful if you're interested in becoming an entrepreneur. The opportunities related to monetizing with the help of mother tongue are vast in today's market scenario. The fourth reason is the most important of all, second language learning. If one has a great grasp of their mother tongue, it is easier for him or her to master a new language. When a child reads out in their mother tongue since childhood, he or she would develop stronger literacy skills in other languages as well. And last but not the least is the pride. Knowing your mother tongue well is a matter of pride. It boosts one's confidence and creates awareness in the individual's mind, while helping the individual to connect with their cultural identity in a better and a stronger manner. Mother tongue has a huge positive influence in defining the personality of an individual. However, usually the medium of education is English, which encourages the parents to talk to their children in the second language, which leads to a confusion in the minds of the children, and they find it really hard to master both the first language and the second language. Mother tongue is the first language that a child starts to hear after being born. It also provides a definite shape to our thoughts and our emotions. Learning in one's own mother tongue helps to enhance several important skills such as literacy skills, critical thinking, skills to learn a second language, and many, many more. Thus, we can clearly say that learning in one's own mother tongue can be used as an effective tool of learning. Thank you.
That was a very, very spirited opening, Navni. Let me congratulate you on that. To speak against the motion, can I now invite our first speaker, Madhura? Madhura, if you're good to go, your time starts now.
English is not just a mere language, it is the language of the world. I would like to start my speech by quoting Lao Tzu. Do the difficult things while they are easy and do the great things while they are small. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Unquote. A very warm evening to one and all present here. My name is Madhura Gaike and I'm a 15-year-old enthusiast who is going to speak against the topic today. Learning in one's mother tongue instead of English through grade 5 will preserve our languages and culture. I would like to start my speech by stating an example. Meera had always dreamt of making her way into a big IT firm in her city, and she applied to many companies as well. Meera was smart and she was good at her work too, but she was getting nowhere with her job interviews just due to her poor communicative skills in English. She was trying to hard to improve herself by doing various things. Every moment that passed by, Meera kept dreading the fact that the family never put more emphasis on her learning the language during her early years. She made a promise to herself that she would not do the same with her children. In the beginning, let's hop on to the root reason behind that why English is regarded as an international language and that why it has been inculcated in our curriculum. First of all, English is a very easy language to understand. It is easy to understand because it only has 26 letters in its alphabet, which stand individually in a word or a sentence, whereas if we compare this with the languages in the Devanagari lipi, each varna needs to be connected to another matra or varna in order to make a meaningful word. This same goes with the other languages like Korean, Japanese, Chinese. These languages are comparatively hard to learn than English because these languages' writing and speaking format is really dense. It is because of these helpful constituents of English that it is a worldwide recognized language. Secondly, English is the necessity of the modern era. Without English, we millennials cannot even imagine our lives. The idea of using the mother tongue as medium of instruction in any primary school is not new to the Indian education system. Article 350A of the Constitution states that every state and local authority should endeavor to provide adequate facilities for instructions in the mother tongue at the primary stage of education to children belonging to linguistic minority groups. This idea is very old, but no effective implementation has taken place yet. Therefore, English went with the pace of time and completely transformed the education system. Teaching in the mother tongue is not a silver bullet to solve the problem of low learning outcomes. If the teachers are still focused on completing the syllabus on some level, regardless of what the language is, the content being transacted is still not at the level that the child can understand. For making the child understand the concept, it's necessary for the teachers to perform their jobs clearly rather than changing the whole language. If this policy is implemented, then the whole teaching curriculum will have to change. New books, new trained teachers, but are there funds available by our government to do all this? No. If no proper implementation is there, then what is the use of such policy? Let's think to take this policy into consideration to form a hypothesis. India being a diverse country, there are n number of languages which children speak at their home as mother tongues. So in how many languages will the textbook be printed? How many teachers will have to be hired to teach the various languages? Are there resources and finances available to do all this? No. Another question which arises will be that, will the children be able to cope up with the new concept? No. What is the guarantee that it will be 100% effective? We cannot jeopardize the future of our children and have experiments with their education. Instead, English and the mother tongue can work hand in hand with each other in order to brighten the future of today's class. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I think you really went to the heart of the argument, and I must appreciate you for that. And on that note, to speak for the motion, may I invite our next speaker, Dia. Dia, when you're good to go and you see the timer run, you can take it away.
First of all, I would like to start by saying thank you so much for this opportunity. So let's just directly jump into the topic, unlike most of the leaders of our country. To start off with, mother tongue meaning for a child involves more than just language, and it includes a child's personal, social, and cultural identities. As kids, we've been told we can be whoever we want to. That might not be true. That is identity theft. But keeping that aside, the choice of words and expression carries different meanings across cultures. And where in one language asking direct questions is considered intrusive, in another it is inquisitive. This meaning as language chosen when speaking and thought about before it is delivered, research shows that children learn better taught by their mother tongue. I would like to agree with the debater spoken before me when she has mentioned multiple points such as we do not have the resources or the finances at hand. But understanding the pandemic situation, we have a lot of online learning, which will not only help our students learn from different countries and learn from different cultures, it will also strengthen their boundaries when it comes to the history and learning about their true cultural identity. Moving forward, I would like to talk about the fact that the importance of mother tongue is studied because when a child is developing their mother tongue, they are stimulously fostering a whole host of other essential skills, such as critical thinking and literacy skills. It is these skills that they take into them with formal education. And research tells us that any skills and concepts gained in a learner's home language doesn't have to be retaught when transferred into the second language. The debater brought up multiple concerns, as if do we need a different language to be taught again and again, and will the theory stay intact? Well, I strongly believe it will. When a theory has been taught in one language, like mentioned earlier, it is directly transferred and retaught in a different language. It doesn't have a lot of emphasis or is mainly debated over. We have to understand the importance of our culture and of our cultural identity. Furthermore, the period of early childhood development is arguably the most important period of life. In order to reach their full potential, children need an appropriate support from their families, education, and healthcare professionals during this period. While I talk about appropriate support from education, I would like to talk about the fact that we have a lot of resources at hand. Being one of the second largest countries with the highest population, we have the resources to reach people from across the world. I speaking from here, I'm talking to someone who might be speaking in Delhi or to someone who might be speaking in Jaipur. We are from different cultures, we're from different places. But at the end of the day, our cultural identities make us who we are. And having this incorporated from a very early point of time and from a very early point of educational perspective, I feel is not only important, but is now a necessity, keeping the globalization movement in mind. Furthermore, I would like to talk about my personal experience. I wish I had learned my mother tongue, which is Sindhi. I wish it was incorporated from a very young age. Unfortunately, while I was talking about my personal experience, I just want to say that I wish I had learned Sindhi because I would have been more in touch with my traditions, with my roots, with the kind of person I was. I am a Gen Z child. I am from a completely different generation. And the fact that I cannot relate with the generations before me just saddens me even more. I would like to say Mehrbani Allahi. That means goodbye and thank you so much for this time. But I have to Google that. I don't want another generation to have to Google or have to research the language they should have been taught or encouraged from a very young age. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dia. It's interesting if biologists could study the number of breaths that you took during those 4 minutes, I think it would make for a very interesting case study.
Thank you so much.
Take a few more breaths in the interest of, catching up.
Yeah.
Could I now invite to speak against the motion, Saideep Keshri, if you're good to go.
I am Sandeep from New Delhi. All this seems great. All of us, a group of juveniles actually, arguing whether English should be the medium of instruction in schools till grade 5 or not. As Madhura stated, this controversy has recently been established due to the National Education Policy 2020, which was endorsed by IB Minister Prakash Javadekar, Defense Minister Rajnath Singh, India's Bahubali Narendra Modi, and his Katappa, the bald Amit Shah himself. But many even call this a masterstroke, the same term which was used for historic failures like demonetization. But Jai Shah, son of Amit Shah, studied in Cambridge International School, and Pankaj Singh, son of Rajnath Singh, completed his senior secondary classes from Mahanagar Boys Inter College. Interestingly, both of them are English medium schools. Isn't it a bit hypocritical for these politicians who come with a robust support for mother tongue education and still choose to send their own children to English medium schools? But I agree with them. I agree that English surely is destroying a traditional practice which is very sacred to Hinduism. Caste system. The exploited and impoverished lower caste individuals are being uplifted from the lap of poverty and being welcomed into a world of education because of English. Dalit intellectual Chandradhan Prasad has long argued that English has been the greatest liberator of Dalits from caste hierarchy. But if the culture that our honorable opposition wants to protect and prosper is casteism and untouchability, then I am obliged to defend my so-called lower caste Indians. Other than that, English is not ruining anyone's culture. But implementing English as a medium of instruction has magnificent advantages on the propagation of one's culture. Jaggi Vasudev, or more popularly known as Sadhguru, is a world-acclaimed yogi who has not only contributed to the spread of yoga over the world, but also the traditional and sacred Hindu culture. And guess what? Sadhguru attended an English medium school. If one has a fluent command over English language, which can be developed if a child has a habit of listening to and conversing with their teachers 6 hours daily, then she can indeed travel to foreign countries and spread our culture there, like Sadhguru and Osho and many others did. You want tangible proof? Ask yourself, when we Indians migrate to Western countries, do we forget our culture? When Priyanka Chopra married Nick Jonas, did she leave her Hindu culture? When Amartya Sen and Abhijit Banerjee, the Nobel Prize winners in economics in 1998 and 2019 respectively, decided to settle and teach in America, did they leave their Bengali tradition? No. Instead, Abhijit Banerjee went to receive the Nobel Prize while wearing a dhoti. His wife, Esther Duflo, who is a French American, wore a sari to the award ceremony. What greater example can be given in favor of English facilitating the spread of our culture? But let's, for the sake of argument, assume that education delivered in one's mother tongue is more beneficial than English medium education. It isn't, but let's assume it is. Then after receiving education in one's mother tongue, how would a youth get employed? A person needs to have funds in order to perform their traditional rituals, celebrate their festivals, flourish their culture. Economic prosperity is a prerequisite of cultural propagation. English is a crucial part of interviews, corporate sector, IT industry, business, diplomacy, science, bureaucracy, maths, etc. To get a respectable job in India and earn satisfactorily in current times, one need to have a knowledge of English. I would like to conclude by saying that English is promoting the spread of our Indian culture, let alone destroy it. I hope that the audience will vote for someone against the motion to express their support for Indian culture. I hope. Dhanyavad.
Thank you so much, Saidi. That was extremely stirring, and I hope that the kind of research you put in into finding where a minister's kids studied, you should also put into finding out where some of their degrees went. That would help journalists a lot. Could I now invite to speak for the motion, Akshara Gowda? Akshara, if you're ready to go.
Jai Shri Gurudev, this is Akshara from BGS College School, Ramnagar, studying grade 8. Today I am here to speak for the motion of the topic. Language is nothing but just a feeling of heart written in words. Mother tongue is a place where you try to express instead of trying to impress. Yes, I agree with the above statement. The mother tongue lays a strong foundation for the expression of creativity. Mother tongue refers to the language which a person has grown up speaking from the early childhood. India is a land of linguistic diversity, and the language differ in the dialects for every 100 kilometers. Mother tongue is vital for preserving India's culture, diversity, and heritage. Mother tongue is the very first language that one hears, understands, and gets familiar with that. Thus, it plays a very important role in shaping the emotions, thoughts, and thought processes. Use of mother language helps one in getting comfortable with his or her cultural identity. Maintaining mother language is necessary for preserving cultural heritage and the identity of the culture. Dissemination of mother language encourages linguistic diversity, thus inspires solidarity based on understanding, tolerance, and dialogues. When language disappears, the world uses a rich loss of tapestry of cultural identity, opportunities, traditions, memories, unique modes of thinking and expressions. And also the valuable resources for ensuring a better future also gets lost. In my opinion, up to until grade 8, the kids should be taught in their mother language. Let me take a practical example. When I asked majority of the students, what do you mean by globalization? Or what do you mean by global warming? Define in your mother tongue. Many of them or majority of them fail to express the definition in their own mother tongue, right? This should not happen because mother language is not just a language, it's a soul of expression. Even though English is a globally spoken language all over the world, still many of the countries preserve and give importance to their own mother tongue. So we can never think and dream in English if our mother tongue is not only English. So, in my opinion, we must incentivize this energetic generation to keep alive their mother tongue and their dialects. We must teach our children to love language and equip them to protect and nourish the beautiful legacy of languages that we have received from our ancestors. So let's nurture the mother tongue. Let's creativity bloom in full flourish. The mother tongue is soul of expression. And I would like to end my debate with a simple thought said by Nelson Mandela. If you want to talk to a person in a language, he understands. It goes to his mind. When you talk to a person in his language, it goes to his heart. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Akshara. That was a very stirring quote right at the end. I think it's important to also remember that when it's not spoken as widely, many languages do tend to disappear. This is a lesson that history has taught us. To now argue for the opposition, let me invite our next speaker, Nandini Popat. Nandini, if you're good to go.
I am Nandini Popat, strongly opposing the topic. Floxy knocks in helibilification. English is fun, right? Google, one of the top-rated company, is steered by binary boss Sundar Pichai. Cloud computing service provider, Alibaba Group, controlled by Chinese businessman magnate Jack Ma Yun, Ratan Tata, and the likes. These could sense the future of English language, especially in elementary school or formative years. And today, they have reached the pinnacle of their footing. Friends, resources and opportunities are scattered around the world. This can be tapped more when one is well versed in the universally accepted English language. The faster we accept the reality, the better it is for the individuals and the nation. Let me justify one thing. There are only 270 mother tongues in India. Facilities in vernacular languages for research and development are outdated and insufficient. Resource people are aged and incompetent. Investing in so many languages will be cumbersome and expensive. Learning mother tongue using digital platform will be far more cheaper, convenient, and practical. Saved funds can be diverted in educating more children. Parents are aware of the advantages of English language and the limitations of mother tongue. Nation cannot achieve outcome in the absence of their enthusiasm. If children too find themselves inferior to the global opportunities, they will be disappointed and depressed. They develop an aversion towards their nation. Frustrated heart refuses to respect their own motherland. Mother tongue can be learned in any stage, but not English. The fluency and natural expression cannot be developed at later stages. Okay, say for example, how a Marathi student shares his literature's content with a non-Marathi student. Both of them need to be fluent in a common communicative language. English. Literature of various vernaculars will never be able to cross borders. English language can be a bridge between them, and the native language can be recognized and rewarded all around the globe, all the more with digital platform. What about the migrants? How do they survive in the land of opportunities? And what about their children's schooling? They will be deprived of education. Farmer too is not being able to sell his produce outside because of lack of communicative language. Receiver is deprived of variety. Same with the professionals. Doctors and lawyers not being able to serve effectively. Receiver is deprived of expertise. Okay, tell me how many politicians, professionals, business tycoons, children are learning vernacular? Friends, public schools are flooded and vernaculars are deserted. Nation has already burnt its fingers because of too many languages and ideologies. And this will add fuel to the fire. Each state will compete fiercely, and Tamil Nadu and Kerala will not be states, they will be countries. Mistake will be repeated once again. Earlier, Britishers invaded us, and this time we will be rolling the red carpet. So, equip child in English language in formative years with strong foundation. He becomes successful, he will become the ambassador of Indian culture voluntarily and proudly. Millions of alumni staying abroad are ever ready to contribute to their motherland wholeheartedly. That's why I strongly believe that learning in mother tongue till 5th grade will not preserve our languages and culture. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nandini. That was a great way to finish. I must of course confess that I never expected to hear about separationist politics on this debate, but every debate continues to surprise me. Thank you for that, Nandini. Could I now invite our next speaker, AJ Rodick? Rodick, if you're good to go.
Good evening, one and all. My heartfelt greetings to the judges and the coordinators of this wonderful debate. Thank you for the wonderful opportunity at first. Now, surprisingly, the previous debater had highlighted a few points about how people succeeded in life because of English, and I should say it was mostly the truth. But let's just see the facts. Many people too have succeeded through their mother tongue. Example of K. Shivan. He was born in Tamil Nadu in a village. He grew up and he was educated in a government school. Then how was he able to become ISRO's chief? Then how was he able to become ISRO's chief? Because he understood the concepts very wisely. Because it was taught in a language that he was able to understand. It was taught in a language that he was able to understand and by heart, in mind. All the concepts was understood by him, grasped by him in a perfect way. So that's the way he produced two of the India's successful satellites. He pushed the ISRO's revolution to 20 years ahead of NASA. So if we are able to, most likely to enable themselves to enroll and mingle and succeed at school. Children drop out of school because they don't really understand the medium of instruction. Say, for example, a nursery kid is waiting at the front gate, and a teacher's like, please come in. If he doesn't understand the thing, we will show actions. He's just a kid. He won't understand. Then you have to personally go and bring him in. How many kids will you do that? How many kids can we take care of them like that? We need we need to teach them in a language that they will understand. Let's just another life example. Who has spoken about NEP is Dr. Arvind Pangaria, who was a former advisor to the Modi government and he's currently professor at the Columbia University of New York City. He also worked at World Trade Organization, the World Bank. He was also the advisor of World Bank. I have recently read his latest book on India Unlimited. He assessed the higher education system, drawing comparisons with the US, UK, and China, and the output of productivity of the Indian system. In his opinion about the NEP, he said that while he was learning in Hindi, it grounded him better in his India, and he started learning English in his 9th grade. Now he has worked in plenty of international organizations. He has worked in plenty of international organizations through his English knowledge, but also through the medium of instruction, which was very specific to him, which was very clear to him. So through this medium of instructions, he was able to really succeed in life because he was able to grasp each and everything that he learned. Let's take another example of Anand Kumar, the founder of the movement of Super 30. How was he able to produce almost 230 best qualified engineers around the world? He centered on global opportunities for people who are underprivileged. He enabled innovators to think and innovate new ideas, which will cause the sustainability of the whole planet. He taught them in a language that they would understand in their mother tongue. And mostly, you know what, many corporations, they just ban the people who are speaking the mother tongues, who doesn't know to read English or write English, as illiterates. I find it interesting to read another research of Professor Tarun Jain, who was the assistant professor of economics in the Indian School of Business. In his research, he states that under the British era, under the Booth Dispatch of 1858, the language-based reorganization of states helped boost literacy up to 18%. Literacy rates were 20% lower for students who didn't have the language of instruction, the medium of instruction as the mother tongue. 20 million children were dropped out of school because of language issues, because they were learning in a language that they didn't understand. And the bone of contention between the most states and the NEP, or the statement of the topic, is the languages will be imposed, like Sanskritization, Hindiization, which is completely not at all. That's completely inappropriate, because the NEP clearly states that the 3-language formula is flexible and no language will be imposed in any state if the state doesn't want it. So all the students will be taught in their own mother tongues. So in Gandhi's words, why mother tongue is important to the child's education is school should closely resemble home. So if the child is taught in a language while in his own mother tongue, he'll understand better, he'll grasp better, he'll learn better. Dr. Rukmani also says that the solution is a playground solution, where students all come together and they can learn together. Language should be a bridge, not a barrier. Thoughts are important, and how education should be in mother tongue is how the importance of thoughts and how they're channelizing them into words. And the language doesn't stand as a barrier as much as their content.
I'm guessing that was the end of it. If not, he must have been close to the end of his time. So thank you very much, Rodik. We went from Mandela to Gandhi, and I have to thank you for that. Could I now invite Yuvraj Singh to give us comments again for the topic? Yuvraj, if you're good to go. Okay, you brought your own podium. That's impressive.
There's a certain feel to it.
Oh, you have no idea. I wish I had one. I have as a table.
Quite ironically, today I would like to quote one of my worthy opponents from side opposition. Good evening to the House at large. The motion on the floor of this House states, learning in one's mother tongue instead of English medium till grade 5 will preserve language and culture. And I, Yuvraj Pundir, am proud to propose the motion. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be proving to the House two things. First, that how teaching students in their mother tongue will first of all preserve their language and culture, and secondly, why would we only doing it till grade 5? But before that, a refutation for side opposition. Now, in today's debate, we've had a very capitalist side opposition that only cares about the economic growth and the economic prosperity. But, ladies and gentlemen, let us first let's understand that the fastest growing economy of today's world, that is China, teaches all the education to its children in their native language, that is Mandarin. Now, ladies and gentlemen, my next point may seem little irrelevant, but please kindly understand. But let's first consider that why is it that big corporate companies invest heavily on advertisements? It is because of the simple fact that the more that they advertise their product, the more it becomes popular and the more it gets sold. Similarly, the case with language, when students are taught in their respective mother tongues, what it does is it popularizes the language, it popularizes their culture, and ultimately that culture is given a boost, and it is not just preserved but also promoted. And at the very same time, ladies and gentlemen, side proposition also accepts and recognizes the importance of the English language in today's world. And that is why we say that it will only be till that the imparting of knowledge in their mother tongue will only be till grade 5 with English as a secondary subject, so that the purpose of the preservation of the language and culture is achieved. And at the very same time, since students have had English as a secondary language in their primary years, they are not alien to it, and hence when they can easily pick it up in grade 6 and onwards, so they are better prepared for the world. Thus, the only point of side opposition, that how teaching in vernacular languages will not make them ready for the world, falls null and void. Also, ladies and gentlemen, through this policy, we bring out the best of both worlds. That is very essential. And sir, let me tell to the House that first of all, no amount of economic prosperity can justify the lack of culture, the lack of language that exists in the world. And also, let us remember that the beauty of the rainbow is in its 7 distinct colors. So let's hold on to our traditions, our culture, and our language. With this, I could not have been prouder to propose the motion.
Thank you so much. You brought your own podium and you brought a magnum to the battle. Let me now invite to speak against the motion Kavya Mahajan. Kavya, if you're good to go, please take it away.
A people without knowledge of their culture, origin, and history are like a tree without roots. Our culture shapes how we see the world, how we choose our lifestyle, and most importantly, our culture is what gives us our identity. Our culture is wider and far larger than anything a language can encompass. And that is why I believe that learning in one's mother tongue instead of English medium would not serve to preserve our culture. Now, one's mother tongue definitely plays a role in connecting them to their culture. But a culture also expresses the views, beliefs, and ideas of those people who belong to that culture. It involves the acceptance of certain social norms and behaviors. The mother tongue is just the language that we use to pass on these norms to the younger generation. Language has always been about how we communicate and share our thoughts, and is thus only a medium. It is the content of the dialogue of what we are saying that truly matters and truly impacts the listener. So, as Dia said, that when we transition into a different language, we're not actually changing the content offered to the students. So, even if a student learns in their mother tongue up until grade 5, they will not be changing the content and only be changing the medium. Now, changing the medium of instruction for the same content will not help students learn more about their culture. And in fact, learning about the culture or preserving the culture involves learning about how and why a culture has developed the way it has, and how that shapes the past, present, and future. To learn about cultural heritage, the content of what we are teaching the students must involve information about the cultural heritage, roots, and history. not the language does not need to be their mother tongue. In fact, I've had a personal experience. A few days back, I was reading a book about my own culture, and I had both the English and the Hindi versions of that particular book. So what I realized was that regardless of the language that I read it in, it was the content and what was written in the book that truly impacted me, that taught me more about my culture. The language had no effect. Now, I said, and a lot of my companions have focused on the practicality of this suggestion and have focused on how important English is and why the mother tongue is not that useful. I think that learning another language will not make much of a difference, but the medium should not change. It actually will not have any impact on how a person perceives their own culture. And as I said before, a culture is far wider than anything a language can encompass. So, because languages we can forget. Quite often it happens that when we don't use a language, we forget that language. But the character and the ideas that we receive from our culture cannot be forgotten. So our culture is not bound to our languages, and learning in a particular language will not preserve our culture unless actual effort is made towards learning the cultural history, our roots, and our past. So, to summarize, the mother tongue, even if learned at a young age, may fall into disuse, and even if it is preserved. Preserving a language does not preserve a culture, because languages may belong to a culture, but a culture is a belief and an ideal, and beliefs don't have a language. They're not limited to languages. Thank you.
Could I now invite Ryan Magunda to speak for the motion? Ryan?
So, hello, I'm Ryan Majumdar from JSS Public School, HBR Layout, Bangalore, and today I'll be speaking for the topic. So, before, I'm happy that one of the contestants mentioned about the British era. So, before going to that, I would like to start with a paradigm. There was a similar conflict in India during the 18th century colonial rule, divided on the issue that whether the company should promote Western or Oriental education, giving rise to the Orientalist Anglicist controversy. The conflict ended in 1853 when the company imposed the Western education policy on the people of India. And let me tell you, it ended in a nasty revolt. You know, the revolt of 1857. So, comparing this paradigm to the current scenario, people who are educated in their own mother tongue develop a closeness to it. It encourages people to have a sense of unity, which seeks to protect the interests of a particular region and promote the welfare and development of its people. Just like how a plant grows and adapts to the environment from its roots, a young child also maturely grows with a sense of emotional stability provided by the culture and language inculcated. The reason to promote such learning goes way beyond rock solid scientific consensus to atypical emotional connections. So, scientifically, it is proven that the plasticity of developing brains of children allow them to use both hemispheres in language acquisition. The intuitive understanding of grammar that develops when children learn their first language can easily be passed to other languages, which also proves scientifically that children can be a lot to handle, actually. Language and mother tongue also play a huge role in the development of a person personally, socially, and culturally. Children with a strong foundation in their first language often display a deeper understanding of themselves and their place within the society, along with an increased sense of well being and confidence. Naturally, this is flowing into every aspect of their life, including their academic achievement. This is one of the reasons why bilingual education systems are growing in popularity around the world, and many international schools are focusing their resources on establishing strong mother tongue programs. As a matter of fact, in 2016, UNESCO recommends at least 6 years of mother tongue education to be provided in ethically diverse communities to ensure those speaking a different language from the medium do not fall behind. Finally, such education develops a sense of descriptivism in the individual. So now, descriptivism involves observing and analyzing the habits and practices within speech communities. Instead of saying how language should actually be, what language should be used, it focuses on how language is used by people, friends, families, whatever. This helps them to convey the essence of their ideas while making it appealing to all. After all, diversity is the art of thinking independently. I agree. I agree with most of you. We do not live in the colonial era, we are global citizens. But Martin Luther King Jr. once quoted that we are not the makers of history, but we are made by history. So, in conclusion, I would like to ask all of you a question. To me, ethnicity is like a river, and English is a bridge which helps us to cross different shores, to collaborate with different cultures. But without the river, what is the bridge for? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ryan. I think we could have asked to end on a more philosophical and more diverse note. Let me of course do the silliest thing by I'm going to applaud for you. I know you can't hear me doing this, but I'm actually clapping reasonably vigorously. Thank you so much.
That is more. That is a lot for me. Thank you very much.
And I'm going to clap for everybody as well because we've just come to the end of this, and I thought that was extremely content heavy. That was really good content. I know Jonathan agrees, vigorously nodding his head.
Thank you very much.
Sir,
Yes.
if you don't mind, like this is a ritual in our school that all of us cannot clap on Zoom as it can be really annoying. So we can all just raise our hands and just shake them in order to appreciate all my opponents.
Am I doing it right?
Like just take them and
Yes,
just
yes,
shake
okay.
them.
Thank you very much, Madhura. Thank you very much.
It's very cool. Thank you. All right. And with that, we're going to, because we have an excessively full house today. We have 10 people. So we're going to run straight to our second round, which is our round of rebuttals. Remember, very quickly, you can opt not to do a rebuttal, but remember it does impact your points, and we do have an award for the best rebuttal. So it might be in your best interest to make that rebuttal. Let's keep it clean. Let's keep it legit, and let's keep it not so rude as much as possible. All right. We're going to go in the same order that we followed the first time around. You've got 2 minutes on the clock. If you address a point to one of your co-speakers and you use their name and they'd like to respond to you, remember, you can do it in your turn or when everybody is done. If the judges consent, we will allow you to respond. But this is not a free-for-all, so don't speak over somebody else. All right? And with that, let's go to our round of rebuttals. May I ask, Navami, would you like to make a rebuttal?
Yes.
All right. Your time starts now. Go ahead.
I would like to revert against Saideep. He mentioned that English is not ruining our culture, but I disagree with it because by promoting English education, we are actually depleting the repository of the languages, the cultures, and the dialects that are carried out through them. After being taught in the English medium, after 1 year or after a while, the children will start to speak English in their own home. So some parents might encourage it, but in rural areas, most of the parents and grandparents do not know English. So if the kids start speaking English in their homes, then they fail to become contempt members of their society, their community, and their own family linguistically. And they lose the ability to connect with their cultural heritage. And also, they cannot discuss about more than mundane matters with their grandparents and parents. And hence, they lose a huge piece of their personal history because they cannot know about their grandparents' past or discuss about their ancestors, etc. I would also like to revert against Madhura because I believe that teachers will be more interested, enthusiastic, they'll get more creative if they're given an opportunity to teach their students in their own mother tongue. They can give all sorts of examples that they wish to, like from their own life, etc. So they'll be more interested.
Thank you so much, Navami. All right. Could I now ask Madhura, do you have a rebuttal to make? All right. Go ahead.
I would like to start by rebuttaling my friend Navami. She said that only mother tongue makes success in life. But if this would be the case, then Sundar Pichai would not learn English and pursue engineering and be the CEO of Google. And he was able to do that because he was well equipped with his mother tongue and being connected to his roots, as well as learning English and being well equipped in that as well and proceeding in life. And it is actually not that difficult for a child to learn 2 languages at a time because if he learns 2 languages when he is between the age of 0 to 8, he will be really well equipped in that as well. And market wants English. At the end of the day, we all are getting ready for the market only. And I would like to state an example here that this debate basically has the official language as English. Though we all are sitting in different places in this country, we all are able to communicate with each other with the help of English in this debate. And it is not like that the opposition does not understand the importance of mother tongue. Thus suggests that the mother tongue can be a helping hand to English in order to enhance the future of our generation, as stated by my friend Saideep. And actually, our cultural identity reflects as who we are as a person. It does not mean our customs, our rituals, not our language. It actually reflects who we are as a person. And language is the medium for that expression. And no matter what the language is, the content being transacted is what is to be paid attention at, not the language. And English is not compelling our culture to die. Actually, it is giving immense amount of exposure to our culture here in India at every avenue in this world. And this is the only medium that all the people in the world are able to recognize the importance of Indian culture. And there are different places that where a person can improve by English, and economic prosperity is being enhanced immensely due to English. I would like to state that as well. And I would like to end my speech by saying that the opposition does recognize the importance of mother tongue and English also, and these both can work hand in hand in order to brighten the future of today's present. So, thank you.
And all that was missing was some patriotic music there. Thank you very much, Madra. That was excellent. Could I now invite Dia? Dia, do you have a rebuttal to make?
Okay, so I'm going to be very honest. All of the things that were said were wonderful. And I don't have a rebuttal against one person in specific, but I would like to mention some of the points that the other debaters and the opposition has said. As most of the debaters have spoken against the motion, they have mentioned English is an easy universal language to learn. If it is so easy, why can't we teach it after 5th grade? Keeping in mind that till 5th grade, skills, our critical skills and our literary skills will be enhanced and will only furthermore prepare us to learn English and make it a stronger platform for students to get ready for the market, said by Madhura. Apologies if I mispronounced her name. Furthermore, agreeing with Yuvraj, most of the debaters have spoken from an economical point of view or a financial point of view. And I definitely agree that this is where globalization is leading us. But in this process, I strongly believe we cannot lose our cultural identity and our roots. Moreover, multiple of the debaters have mentioned that it's language is just a language, right? It's just a language. It doesn't have a lot of emphasis. But let's be honest, language is more than just a way to communicate with people. It has a stronger significance. I would like to quote Kalish Kher. He has mentioned, for us Indians, I don't think English can ever exclude the magic of emotions that our mother tongue can. The magic of emotions are only perceived when we speak in a language that we get to from the heart. Furthermore, when we talk about success, I'll give you an example. Arunachal Muragatham, apology if I didn't get the pronunciation right, gave a speech in his mother tongue and still reached hundreds of people. For all of you who do not know who this man is, he was played by Akshay Kumar in Padman, right? We've seen the change this person has made. And the way he communicated was his language. Of course, someone had to translate it furthermore, but we still have to keep in mind that the way he got to hundreds and thousands of people was from personal experience and cultural experience that led him that far. I thank you so much. That's it.
I heard 9 very intelligent speakers today, but I noticed, as Dia said, that all of them emphasized more on technological, financial, technical aspects of mother tongue and English. For example, some said that mother tongue promotes critical thinking and English is a common language. But except Kavya from Kolkata and Dia, of course, I found everyone else just made a single point in culture and moved on, which defies the topic of the debate. The topic specifically asks us to emphasize upon the cultural aspects. So that's one of my concerns. Moving on, all my opponents argued that culture and mother tongue are connected. I want them to prove that. Also answering to Navami's question and also proving that culture and language are not intimately connected, Professor Nandita Krishna, an awardee of Nari Shakti Award given by Government of India, a notable historian and an activist, wrote an article on culture, language, and identity, which was published on the esteemed website of the New Indian Express, organizer of the show. In her article, she argues that how language is independent of culture and identity of an individual. She says, and I quote, language has erroneously become the yardstick for identity and culture. Also, my friend Yuvraj said that today's opposition is capitalist. That's completely nonsense. I don't just find the connection between this topic and capitalism and our views, because that doesn't make sense actually. AJ and Akshara. Now I want to rebut against Akshara. She said that if she asked her classmates about definitions of certain things in Hindi or in their mother tongue, they weren't able to speak. So I asked Akshara, if teachers are allowed to teach in mother tongue after grade 5 or before grade 5, then will they also speak pure mother tongue? No. There are English words everywhere, and there are technical words which are only better explained in English. That's all I would like to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sadiq. That was extremely well illustrated. Akshara, he brought you up last. It's also fortuitous that you're the next speaker. Would you like to make a rebuttal?
Yes, sir. So
Go
I
ahead.
want to specific on the opponent. So many opponents said that English is necessary because to improve our education, what we think and learn is English. So I want to say that I'm proud that my mother language is Kannada and it got 8 Jnanapita Prashasti on it. So it depends on the ability of the student, how they understand it. If we force a child to learn English, if he don't know, if he is not able to cope with the English language, then what's the use of learning English language, right? If he is able to speak in mother tongue, he understands the concepts very easily. I want to give an example. Kadambini Ganguly, she completed her in her mother language. She completed her studies in her mother language. Even though she studied in her mother language, that is Bengali, she is the first female physician who completed her practice of Western medicine. So we have many apps. We have improvised. We have very well developed with our technology. We have so many apps that we can translate our languages, but we can't translate mother tongue. Mother language, as I said, mother language is not just a language; it's a soul of expression. We are emotionally attached to it. So we can translate this not only specifically English, other languages also. We can translate it very easily by using the apps. So we have said that every school, still now government schools also in the country, they have provided government schools, they teach in their mother tongue. Not many of the government schools, they teach in their mother tongue, not in English. If the English is a subject, they teach in English, right? So I want to strongly rebuke that mother language expresses child's emotion, and child get to know the concepts, understand easily. He or she can understand the concept easily. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Akshara. Nandini, may I now invite you to make a rebuttal if you have one?
So first of all, I would like to make it really clear to the proposition that none of us said here that don't learn mother tongue. What we just told was let the medium of instruction till grade 5 be English. And we all respect mother tongue. None of us told mother tongue is of no use. We all have respect for mother tongue. And mother tongue can be the second language also. And we really do appreciate the idea. And about China and France, they are also thinking to implement English in their schools because now they also have understood the value of English. Okay, just one question. How many of us here are studying in vernacular languages? All of us here, most of us are studying in English medium, right? And we can have the best of both the worlds. We can have English as a medium of instruction till grade 5 and also learn mother tongue. We can learn mother tongue at home. And as suggested before, we have a lot of other ways to learn mother tongue using digital platforms. It'll be much easier. You can learn the language of your choice also, including your mother tongue. Some other language is also possible. So don't deprive children of opportunities, okay? And we can have the best of both the worlds, as said before. Thank you.
It's also an interesting study in statistics that the private sector in education is heavily leaning towards English medium education and not so much towards Indian languages. But that's a whole other argument. Pratik, could I now invite you to make a rebuttal if you have one?
Basically, many of them said that English was a very easy language to learn. So I did a statistical report yesterday by the multilinguistic, the International Council of Languages. So they stated that all many who learned in their mother tongues were able to understand the concepts better. They were able to come up in life because they were able to understand what was being taught, and not just for the sake of marks. And everyone knows that not marks help education, but the understanding does. And another thing is, I would also like to make a rebuttal of someone who said that um, English was just that. I- yeah, English was not a source of language, but English in the mother tongues. So if you just don't know what's your origin, because many of the kids who primarily who are rooted in English, they don't know much about their culture. Example, like the kids in abroad, kids in foreign countries, they don't know much about their culture. They don't even know who they are. If you don't even know who you are and what's your identity, and if you succeed in life, what's the point of succeeding if you don't know who you are? Who you are, who have you been? I also agree with most of the debaters who said that language is the key to culture, and I also totally agree with that. And I also say I'm not saying that English should be hindered at all. No, English is also a source of knowledge, and like they do in Cambodia, which is like an additional and English as an additional language. They conduct webinars for children every day. They teach in their mother tongues, and for them to learn English, for them to learn in English and refer both for the source of knowledge. They conduct webinars every day. So if we can practice the system in Cambodia and India, we could make mother tongue as a source of knowledge, but also English as a communication tool. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. I must really appreciate you for having braved all of those network issues. I know it's very, very annoying, but good on you. Really. Could I now invite my friend with the personal podium, Yuvraj, to give his rebuttal? Yuvraj, are you going to hop back to the podium, or are you going to, just from the chair like the rest of us? Okay, great.
Well, I agree that I did mention capitalist and the motion does not talk of capitalist. But the sad fact of today's debate has been that side opposition has talked about that English how English promotes economic progress and economic growth, and that is exactly what I wanted to highlight. That today's debate did not require us to discuss whether or not English should be the universal language or how it promotes economic growth. Rather, what it required of us was to debate whether or not by the using English as a medium of instruction in schools leads to the loss of culture and language. But none of my worthy opponents from side opposition have tried to do that, because it is a fact. And so also I would like to ask a rebuttal.
Go ahead.
I would like to ask to Miss Kavya Mahajan and Miss Madhura Kaike. Ma'am, through your speech, you've told that how the content of the culture remains more or less the same, and we can study that through, maybe through translated books. But ma'am, another part of the motion also talks about the preservation of culture, which you have not talked about. So could you comment on that?
I don't know if Kavya is pleasantly surprised or a bit offended that you called her ma'am, but I'm going to ask her anyway to give her rebuttal and possibly respond to that. Kavya, if you will.
Yes, of course. So first, Yuvraj, I did mention that if you want to preserve your culture, please go and read about your cultural history, your roots, how your culture has developed. That is the way you will preserve your cultural heritage and your values. Now, coming here, we are not in a yellow wood. We don't have two roads diverging in front of us where one is culture and the other is English. We can go down both. We can preserve our cultural values while also adapting English. Okay. Now, again, a lot of people have said that moving towards English will lead us to lose our culture. That is not true at all. Also, about the emotional part where you can convey some content only in that particular language, there is definitely more effort required when it comes to translation. But since we are all humans and we have quite the same emotional capacity to understand things, if we are made to understand something in our own language, even if it is translated from a different language, if we are properly explained with the given context, then we will surely understand all the emotional and historical context behind any particular topic that's being talked about regarding a culture. So yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I'm sorry to interject, but again about the content thing, I'm really not sure. Like, if I was speaking in Hindi, any of your retorts would be any less. So the language does not matter. It's actually the content of what I'm saying that matters. Thank you.
Yes, it's just that I wouldn't have got most of it. All right. Let me now invite Ryan. Ryan, of course, was our last speaker, and Ryan will be our last.
Yeah, so hello. So my first question goes to Madhura Gaike. Hello. So you were so just like one of the contestants, Disha. If I'm sorry if I got it wrong. So she also said that it is English is easy to understand, but I will object this with a different reason. I mean, many languages are there where there's so much difference with like between those two languages that it is hard to interpret it. For example, let me give you one small example. Like John kicked the ball. So here we have the subject first, then the verb comes next, and then the object is last. But in most languages, there's always one standard order: subject, object, maybe there's a predicate, or and then the verb comes. So that so it is my so I think that it's not easy for everyone to learn English. So, and my next rebuttal is against Saideep Keshri. He mentioned about Priyanka Chopra, and now I wouldn't say it as a very valid example because she's an actress, and there's a lot of publicity. There's a lot of pressure from the media, everything going on her. So whatever she does, whatever she like does in front of the world, that will completely either enhance her career or completely destroy it. So she has to be very careful with what she does. And there's also a lot of pressure. There might also be a lot of pressure on that. And finally, I just want to like appreciate Akshara for mentioning about Kadambini Ganguly. I mean, like, sorry for being casual. It it is actually a very popular thing in our culture. My grandmom never misses that serial. So, and even I live in Bangalore, where the language is Kannada. And let me tell you, while learning Kannada, it was the best experience of my life. So that's all I would like to say.
Thank you very much, guys. I think that is a perfect way to cap off that entire debate. I know I'm not supposed to clap because, after, yeah, that's right. We're just going to do that now. I hope I'm doing it right. My hands aren't very good, but here you go. I hope you guys can see me. Congratulations, everybody. That was a fantastic debate. So much of food for thought. I actually had this debate when the NEP came out. I've had it with people who are experts in their field, and believe me, I didn't come away with this much. And I'm being very honest about that. So congratulations, good on you guys. What we're going to do is Seema is going to very quickly get on a call with both our judges, with Jonathan and Professor, and they're going to come back and decide who our 3 awards for the day are. So Seema, I'll leave you to it.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah, just 1 second, Sandeep, if you don't mind. John should go. All right. Remember, this debate is going to be airing on the 19th at 7 p.m. Our voting lines will be open for 48 hours after that. So people can individually vote for who they think the best speaker was. And once that's done, the results of this debate will be out. Remember, it's a component of A, B, and C, A and B being our 2 judges' votes, our 2 judges' marks, and C will be a weighted mean average of the votes that you receive online. All right. So that's A plus B plus C is your entire score. And we really hope that things are close because everybody loves a close contest. Well, that's one way of looking at it. Saideep, you have something to ask me.
So
Can you repeat
can
what
I
you just
answer
said?
to some of the rebuttals? Like I want to answer to the Yuvraj's rebuttal and Ryan's rebuttal. The opposition is only talking about the economic prosperity, economic aspect of English. If the economic prosperity that English brings in life of every student is an individual economic growth, and in capitalism there are only a few selected individuals who grow economically. So if every individual grows economically, then it's more of a communist form. But the point is, this is not about capitalism and communism. This is about the topic, which is preservation of culture. Moving on to the rebuttal of Ryan. Ryan said that Priyanka Chopra, whatever she did, she has a lot of pressure on her. She hosted a Hindu wedding. She played Holi on publicly on American talk shows. And there are many instances when she actually promotes her culture, and not only that, but she also exhibits that how fond she is of her culture. She also wears the traditional attires and much of that, even while living in America. So I think if that is not culture, then what is? Thank you, sir.
I think Priyanka Chopra would have had a tear in her eye after listening to that. Ravik, you had raised your hand. Is there something that you'd like to say?
Yes, I have a rebuttal to make towards Saidi. I appreciate the way you talked everything. It was really good. But I'd like to make another. I'm just thinking, make a response. I'm pretty sure that A.R. Rahman, without much knowledge of English or maybe all the international languages, through the language of music, he succeeded in life, and he was able to cope up, and he was able to say in his mother tongue. The first words were in his mother tongue, in his Oscars. So I'm not really sure that English is not really a success, a stepping path of success, but your talent is more important. And I also like to make a rebuttal to someone who said that, not really rebuttal though, but I would also make a reference to this point. The thing is, someone said that English is very easy to learn. So why not? Like I already made a reference to this person, Dr. Arvind Pangaria. So he only learned English in his 9th grade, from his 9th grade till college, and then he was able to cope up with English. And of course, English is very easy to learn. If you're gonna, but for your mother tongue, if you're gonna let your root loose down, your tree will never grow. So in the initial years, you need to learn your mother tongue, and you can also learn English. I'm not saying you should not learn English. English is your international communication tool. So if you're going to learn English, you can directly learn in 9th, after 9th, because Dr. Arvind Pangaria, he clearly stated that he learned English after 9th. So but he was able to cope up, and he was able to work in the chief international organizations. Thank you.
Ronik, I should remind you that Professor Panagria is an exceptional person. It could also be that he's the exception to the rule, and I'm only saying that because he's truly an exceptional person. As I do think President Kalam was, and so also for Mr. Shivan. I mean, some of the examples that you quoted, they were exceptional people, and very often it's easy to take the exception to the rule as an example. But whether it's practical for the larger population, that's a question that we need to ask ourselves. Sorry, Dia, you had something you'd like to say. Everybody has something to say. Okay, Dia, go on.
Yeah, I would just like to mention 2 points. First, when we've spoken about English being an easy language to learn, this wasn't mentioned by me, it was mentioned by Madhura, and I had said that this was mentioned by an opposition. I would like to clarify this sentence by saying that, agreeing with Roderick, it is an easy language to learn. But if it is an easy language to learn, why can't we teach it after 5th when people are more intact with their culture? Now, I would like to agree and disagree with Kavya. Agreeing in the sentence where she mentioned that it's not a this or that, right? We don't have to choose one side definitely, because there can be a world where we follow our culture, where we respect our culture, but at the same time, we also learn the language, the universal language everyone is learning, which is English. But disagreeing with her, ma'am, you've been very, very, very adamant in that the fact that language and emotions don't go together, and language is just a language. I would like to tell you for the second time that like Sir Daniel Sir had mentioned, languages are starting wars around the world. Languages are more than just important. Common sense suggests that emotions are physical types that have little to do with words. We use them to label. The cat suggests that languages plays a role in emotion because language supports the conceptual knowledge used in the meaning of sensations from body and the word in given context. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Madhura, you want to say something? Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. As one of my opponents said that culture is emotion, and emotion can be expressed through language. And no matter what that language is, it's going to be transacted in a complete way. And as one of my opponents, Yuvraj, said that the opposition just spoke about economical prosperity, and the topic did not say that. Actually, the topic did not deny that also, that we cannot speak about economical prosperity. And as the opposition, related economical prosperity with English, because all of us know that somewhere around the corner we all want to excel economically in order to survive on this planet. So that is why. And as my friend Dia also mentioned that or the opposition and me also mentioned that English is an easy language to understand. In my speech, I also mentioned that why English is an easy language to understand because of various reasons, and I explained it, and I hope you understand that too. And the opposite, I like to mention again, the opposition is not denying that mother tongue should not be inculcated in the curriculum, actually suggesting that both the importance of the mother tongue as well as English should work hand in hand in order of the enhancement of our future.
Right, Akshara, I'm going to give you 20 seconds.
Yeah, sir, I want to.
So 20 seconds.
Yeah, sir, I want to rebuttal again because the topic said that from the school age itself, if we start learning, it will improve our culture. So, what it, will improve our language? So, what when we implement that English language, so we should make sure that everyone understand or improve with that English language, right? We can't say by developing a few states in India, we can't say India is a developed country. We should develop all the states situated in India, then we can call it as a developed country. We must ensure that everyone is learning English. By implementing just English language is compulsory for everyone, and it also compels with this ability of the mind. If they are not okay with English, then what to do about their future, right? So this is and I want to rebuttal against Madhura Goike because she said that English is easy because 26 because English has 26 letters. It is not depending on letters. How we understand, how we take the language is very important. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Akshara. Yuvraj, I know you've had your hand up for a while. I'm going to give you 20 seconds because our judges really need to get their comments and we need to wrap this up. Last word, Yuvraj, 20 seconds.
To Miss Madhura Gaike. He said that English should be used as a medium of instruction simply because it is easier compared to other languages. But ma'am, easy and difficult are really subjective terms and differ from person to person. Because in my infancy, what I heard at my house was my mother tongue, that was Hindi, and Hindi was comparatively easier to me when I went to school than English. Kindly comment on that.
Kindly comment on that. Wow,
So there is a factual error in one of the statements. May I point it out?
Okay, but I'm going to end with this.
Sir, A.J. Roddick said that A.R. Rahman doesn't know English. He studied in an English medium.
I know. I thought that was really mean. A.R. Rahman speaks pretty good English. I've spoken to him. It's very
his childhood only, I guess, because he studied in an English medium school. The school in which A.R. Rahman went, it's an English medium school in Chennai.
I don't know if he completed school though, but
sir, excuse me, sir.
Guys,
I wanted
something that this is something that we can go back.
Sir, I'd like to make a rebuttal.
Don't worry about it. We're not going to tell A.R. Rahman about this. Don't worry about it. We're going.
Sir, is it fine if I ask you a question? Where is this
It's
debate?
not fine if you ask him a question because then he'll want to answer.
Okay, sir. Fine.
Let's let our judges talk to you, and then we can continue slamming at each other. But we'll do that.
Okay, sir.
Professor Jibu, could I ask you to say a few words to our debaters today?
First, congratulate the Indian Express on organizing this program, for contributing to keeping conversations going on pertinent topics during these difficult times. I particularly liked an expression in the announcement, infuse decency back into the art of debate. These days, it is often said that the level of public discourse is really falling, but commendably, all of you spoke with utmost decorum. And I congratulate all the participants for this. I'm indeed impressed by the ideas that you shared. They made me nostalgic. I enjoyed listening to all of you. Let me also make a few brief statements about public speaking, as I've been asked to. So there can't be two views on the importance of public speaking. We know that it is a key factor in creating change and also making people successful in public life as agents of change. We also know the famous speeches in history, as all of us know, President Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg speech, the blood, toil, tears, and sweat speech delivered by Sir Winston Churchill, during the Second World War, Jawaharlal Nehru's Tryst with Destiny speech, Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech, a speech which won President Obama the Democratic Party's nomination in 2008. So let us reflect for a while on what is common among all these pieces of oration. In other words, what is the salient feature of a good speech? Well, the answer is not simple. It's a complex answer. There are many reasons. But if you ask me, I will say, in a good piece of oration, every word should signify. And what do I mean by that? Every word should strike a chord with the audience and persuade the listeners. So it's very important to avoid cliches, truisms, and platitudes. You can also pay some attention to reasoning skills. So bear these points in mind, which I hope will prove helpful. I'll stop here. I wish you all the best in your future endeavors. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much, Professor. That was the shortest and most intense session I've been having.
I'm not going to take up much of your time because the professor just gave us the shortest but most concise lecture on public speaking that I have heard. Have been fortunate to hear. And you have to, as both students and people who are going to go out in the society and engage with a lot of ideas. Through your life, you're going to be engaged with ideas every single day. And how you engage with them is going to determine not just your life, but society and how the society around you functions as well. So it is an important skill to not just imbibe what someone is telling you, but be able to parse it and then reproduce it in a logical manner. That's an important thing. And you need to listen to every single word of what Professor said. But I will take off, from what he said about the ancient Greeks, because they were past masters at the whole debate thing. A persuasive argument has ethos, pathos, and logos. See, there are three different ways in which you try to persuade a person. Persuasion here is not, you're not just trying to get something from someone, but it's just the art of expressing an idea. And you can do it in these three ways. Ideally, it would have all three, and that makes a great point. Now, what is logos? Logos is just logic. Ethos is ethics, right? And pathos is emotion. I'm just going to tell you one point, and this is the only point I have. What we have currently in public discourse is a disproportionate leaning towards pathos, because it's easy to appeal to emotion. It is an easy route. You don't have to engage with an idea. You just have to incite emotion. And while this makes for a passionate and a fiery speech, it is not necessarily the best way you engage with an idea itself. And ideas are important. You can't just whitewash them with emotion. So you need all three. And that is what impressed me with this particular discussion, because we had all three. It wasn't just emotion. It wasn't just dry logic. It had all of it. There were personal anecdotes. All three versions of a good idea were present here. And this is something, as a member of a profession right now who's struggling with this disproportionate leaning towards pathos, that I am quite hopeful when I come and see people like you engaging with ideas in such a comprehensive manner. It gives me hope. And for that, I have to thank you. So thank you. And that was one of the most interesting discussions I have heard in a very long time. Thank you.
All right. Professor Jibu, will you be making the announcements of our three winners today?
Or would you like to make it? Both of us have spoken, so would you like to? Yeah, I'll leave it to you. Yes. For the finest point, we have selected Ryan Majumdar.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much, sir.
What you win is a 1,000 rupee voucher from our gift sponsor, Link Pens. I hope you like writing. There's a lot of stationery coming at you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that is a lot to take. Thanks a lot.
Okay, for Counter-Strike, it is Yuvraj Singh Pandit. Did I mispronounce your last name? Sorry.
Yuvraj Singh. I didn't attempt it at all. I knew I'd end up making a fool of myself.
Okay.
Yuvraj, congratulations. Yes. You also win yourself a 1,000 rupee voucher from Link Pens. Professor, the third one?
Yeah. And for the lighter side, it is Nandini Popat.
Congratulations, Nandini. You also win yourself a 1,000 rupee voucher from Link Pens.
Thank you, sir.
It's very important, the points that you made, and I hope the people in power do get to listen to it and policy does get amended. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for debating your hearts out. It's been a real pleasure. Thank you very much, Professor. Thank you very much, Jonathan. Thank you very much, each and every one of you. It's been an absolute pleasure. Remember, life will always be a series of great debates, some of them not so good, some of them not so bad. All the best, take care and stay safe. Remember, this is Let's Debate with the New Indian Express. Remember, you can vote for your favorite debater right here at www.edexlive.com/debate. Remember, every vote counts. Our voting lines are open for 48 hours, so get voting right now. This debate was brought to you by the Hindustan Institute of Technology and Sciences and MEIL. Every kid has a great story to tell. Have one? Well, we're listening. Send your best story to the New Indian Express's Bookworm Junior Summer Stories Contest, and you could just end up becoming an author over the summer. What are you waiting for? Get writing.